I had gotten a dream that I was, and I didn't even know Adyn was into like fighting or anything, but I had a dream that I was being mentored on how to deliver. It was a young man, a young adult boy in a fighting cage, and I had to go pray and deliver this boy, and I didn't know how, and I was like seeking mentorship in my dream from somebody on like how to bring deliverance. And I remember having this dream and I'm like, who, Lord, like what is this about?
I grew up in a very dysfunctional home, essentially. I grew up, my parents split before I could remember. I was mainly with my mom, but I just seen my mom struggle. I was, from a very young age, I was just her protector.
I grew up in a home that was very dysfunctional. I had two loving parents that just didn't know how to love themselves. And so that created dysfunctional in my home. So there was a lot of domestic violence in my home.
I think it was more towards like fourth grade, fifth grade. I was starting to have like yearning for my dad's love, essentially, and didn't really know how to get that from him without asking, like, hey, dad, like, pay attention to me. So I was just constantly fighting at school, constantly getting suspended every other week. I was crying out for help, and just no one was really noticing. No one was really seeing it.
When I was 5 years old, I was sexually abused by a family friend. And so even at that moment, the enemy had already started his plan in my life to distort sexuality, to distort who God was.
My mom had moved up north to Pine Top. She was with this guy, my little sister's dad, and so she had moved up the mountain, and my dad was like, you gotta go. Like, there's nothing here for you. You keep finding trouble. You keep getting in trouble here. The guy my mom was with, he was physically abusive, verbally abusive. So that was kind of already in the back of my mind going up there, where it's just like, I really don't care for this guy, but I'm gonna just give it a shot.
So by the time I turned 13, I had already had a misconception of sexuality because of what happened when I was 5. And so by this point, I was already struggling with pornography. I was struggling with other things. I ended up losing my innocence.
8th grade, I remember my little sister's dad came over, and he was just high, and just like barged in the house, and I'm in my room just on my phone, and I hear my mom, just like him and my mom going at it. He came in and he was just screaming and cussing at my mom. I remember he was calling her like the B word. And so I remember there's like this real big hunting knife I had. And the first thought that came to my mind was like, hey, I'm gonna kill this guy. Like, I'm not doing this no more. Like, I'm sick of it, I'm tired of it. And I really just paced around my room, and I just thought, every thought went through my mind where it's just like, what's gonna happen when I do this? I remember grabbing the knife and I put it in my pocket, and I walked out into the room. I walked out into the living room, and I just see my mom, and everything just kind of froze. I see my little sister just eating dinner, not knowing what's going on. I looked right at my mom and I was like, what would she do if I were to go away? Like, she would be broken. I would be broken. Like, I would no longer be here to protect them. But I just felt so helpless, so useless in that moment. I just remember looking at my little sister and just rushing back to my room. And I just put my face in the pillow, and I'm just screaming, crying, and I'm just crying. I'm just like, Lord, take my life away, because I don't have the courage to take my life. I remember putting the knife right up to my stomach, and I was just like, please, like, just allow me to do this, because I don't want to be alive anymore. Like, I can't be alive anymore. I remember this moment, and I got in the car with my mom. She's just bawling her eyes out. She's like, I heard he called your dad. She said, and he said that you want to go back home. She's like, so you don't just go. She's like, just go, because everything I've done for you, everything I've provided, if it, like, just go, like, it's fine. And there was just this brokenness I seen in my mom, where it's just like, she's losing her son.
My grandma came and she wanted us to go to church. And this was when I went to my first Pentecostal church when I was 13. And I just remember attending this church, and it's here in town, and I encountered the presence of God for the first time. I encountered his presence. I got baptized by the Holy Spirit, and I just remember like feeling the weight of my sin, like truly feeling like, oh my gosh, like I did these things, I chose. From 13 till about, I would say 15, I was on fire for the Lord. I was serving at the church. I mean, I just wanted to experience that encounter like as much as I could. I eventually ended up entering a same sex relationship with somebody from church, actually. And so we were on the worship team together. We did worship. We both sang or played an instrument. It was very gradual to the point to where by the time I was in the actual relationship, I was even in shock that I was in that relationship.
Just starting to dabble into girls, finding myself kind of just falling into lust. I actually lost my virginity in 8th grade, the summer of 8th grade going to ninth at a young age. Find myself with sexual relationships with multiple girls. I got a fake ID. Found myself with a fake ID, and I just was on a rampant from there. Uh, Started drinking. I never was a drinker, never partaked in drugs, but in that moment, I found myself in everything.
And I entered this relationship for about a year and a half. It was hidden. The church didn't know. My mom didn't know. Nobody knew. And I remember feeling conviction every single time. I wasn't far from God, but I was doing something sinful. And so there was a level of separation there, but my heart was still tender and I still wanted to do what was right, but I didn't know how. When you're in a same-sex relationship, in my experience, there's a lot of manipulation. You learn how to manipulate, you learn how to lie, you learn how to hide, and all of those things are opposite of what God calls us to do.
We came to Passion my senior year, and we had some individuals pray over me before I graduated, and just in that moment, I felt the Lord. Like I just felt the presence of God, and just like, hey, what was that? It was just kind of sparked a curiosity, like what was that? Just kept coming to church actually, and finally. Pastor Anise and Pastor Jonathan caught me in the back of the sanctuary and just kind of connected with me. Pastor John was actually one of the first people I met with outside of the church. He took me out to eat. We went to go eat some wings. I remember that, and we just talked. And he's like, "Hey, like we notice you, like we see you, like you come even by yourself without your family." And I was just finding myself in love with being in the church and just being in the house of God.
We were gonna perform a worship conference, and I was just like, at that point, the Holy Spirit was just like, I was feeling it in the pit of my stomach. Like, I was starting to feel sick for multiple days where I knew that I needed to tell somebody. We were at that conference. That girl asked me to take her to drop her off. She wasn't feeling well. And she ends up giving me a kiss. And somebody comes out of the home, and I thought that somebody saw us. And I just like, shame, conviction was all over me. I literally drove home crying. I was speeding home crying because I was like, they found out, they're gonna tell my mom, I have to go tell her. Little did I know that nobody saw anything. And I believe that that was the Lord. I went home and I just remember that night. And I just remember walking into the house, and my dad was still away on tour. And I just remember crying, and my mom comes in, she's like, in Spanish, she's like, "What's going on?" And she thought I was pregnant, she thought I was gonna tell her I was pregnant. And I just remember crying and telling my mom, like, "You're gonna hate me. You're gonna stop loving me. I've messed up. I'm the worst person." I just told my mom, I'm like, "Mom, I'm dating a girl. And I've been doing this for a year." And I just remember crying.
There was a moment in PSL where we were sharing testimonies, and there was an individual who shared his testimony. They shared their testimony, and they talked about how they were sexually abused as a child. And in that moment, like the Holy Spirit just struck me. And it was just like, that happened to you. And I was just like, that happened to me. There's a shame on me. There's a guilt on me. Like, I have to put this back in that vault. Like, Lord, why did you reveal this? Like, no one's supposed to know. Put that back away. Like, there's so much shame that I carried with that.
I had a radical supernatural visitation from Jesus. About 3 weeks after the pastor's son came, I was contemplating committing suicide, ending my life. This pastor comes. He comes on the day that I was already contemplating to commit suicide. I was planning. I was self-harming. My mom didn't know that. I was cutting myself. And I just remember him coming at the right moment. That's just who Jesus is. He sends the people at the right moment. He comes in, and the only thing I remember from those moments is that he holds me, like he cradles me in his arms, and he just tells me that the Lord had already forgiven me for what I did, um, and that I needed to receive forgiveness. And he starts to pray over me and sing, and I just have this incredible encounter with the Lord. I literally see Jesus walking in my room and just coming towards me.
Me and Pastor Brandi, we were in the church had already been planted. She would take me with her. She was already discipling me, and we just got onto this topic. The Lord was like, "Open your mouth," and He's like, "Just tell her." And I just did not want to say anything at all. And I just remember saying, "Hey, Pastor Brandi, this happened to me as a kid," and she opened up and she was like, "That happened with me as well." And just what I thought was like this relief off my shoulders, or it's just like there's probably like 2 minutes of just freedom, where it's just like, hey, I told someone, and I feel free. But then here comes the enemy, where it's just like, you should have never opened your mouth. You should have never said anything.
It took me about 2 years to get restored, but I had to walk through a lot of healing. I had to walk through a lot of mental things that the enemy would tell me, like, you would never get married, you're never gonna have kids, you're not gonna get a husband because they're not gonna love you because of what you've done.
I ended up getting some healing, walked in that. I had to break some vows, and I had to go through the healing process of that. And I told myself that I would never be with another man. I would never be labeled as gay. So I would just find myself sleeping with women. So I would make sure, like, hey, you're not gay. You like girls. And so as I'm doing that, I'm also just tearing pieces of my soul away, giving it to other people. And it answered so many questions.
For me, it's like, if we can get ahead of the ball with people, if I can help pinpoint a young person and be like, hey, this is where the enemy has been playing the game. Let's switch the strategy, right? Let's do this instead of that now. Like, you already know what he's doing. I think that that's something that I wish I would have had, like somebody being able to say, hey, like, because you were sexually abused, the enemy started that strategy already. Let's work on this.
And I just felt like I really could confide in someone finally about that. And the other individual who shared their testimony, I spoke with them, and we talked about it. And he told me all his struggles of like how he just struggled so much with lust. And I was just like, hey, that was me. Like, I struggled with lust. To be free from that, I was like, I'm excited. There's definitely a pile of bricks that were lifted off my shoulders and my chest, but now there was kind of like a scarcity. Like I was just scared. I had this scared mindset of like, now I have to share this testimony. Like, the Lord's telling me to, and every day he would tell me, like, you're going to share this testimony. You're going to share this testimony. And I would just wrestle with like, how am I going to tell my parents? I know how my dad's going to react, but and I was fearful of that, but also too, I was scared of how my mom was going to react, just seeing her break down in tears. I already had knew how that was going to play out. Eventually the Lord's like, hey, like, just open your mouth and tell them, and I'm going to give you strategy. I'm going to help you. I'm going to help them with their emotions. Just tell them.
And so I am passionate. I am bold with my faith now because God has done so much in my life. I'm married. I have a husband who loves every part of me. I have 3 children. Who will not have to struggle with the root of distortion of sexuality, because I'm choosing to heal.
The enemy has just tried to take me out at such a young age, perverting me, my mind. Now I just have reached a new level of freedom, and I'm continuing to be delivered from things and continuing to walk in freedom every day. But
there is a moment that happened this year where Adyn was able to share something with me, and I just remember calling my husband. And so I called my husband. I was like, babe, like, this just got shared, and like, I'm really proud of him, but I'm also feel so saddened. But I'm also so grateful that I've walked what I walked through. For that very moment that I was able to share and encourage and just even walk with him in that.
The Lord has led me and allowed me to steward my family well. And actually, just this past May, this past weekend, I was able to baptize my mother, and she was the last one in my family to get baptized. And so all my siblings have been baptized, and my stepmom, my dad, and my mother now. So just being able to walk with the Lord in that, and just seeing the freedom they have, and I'm really excited to see what else the Lord has for me.
Spiritual mothering exists. Adyn now is walking in freedom. He is courting. He's doing things God's way.
Just walking with Pastor Brandi has really changed my life. Where like I came from a broken household. I came from just broken people. Everyone around me was broken. Everyone did everything in life incorrectly, and just walking with her and Pastor Jonathan, and them being my spiritual parents and leading me and pouring into me, where they actually showed me like, hey, this is the way that things are supposed to be done.
I just want to encourage people, like, your testimony of whether it was something similar to mine and Adyn's, your testimony is powerful. It literally shuts the enemy's mouth when you testify.